Management 80 Exam 2A. The best way to attract capital: have a better mousetrap. Build a better mousetrap. It'll find you. Think about Shark Tank. People get up there, well, I got one of these, I got one of those, I got one of these. If you come up with a better way of doing something or a better idea, it will attract capital. One of the misnomers about developing business plans is you need to hire an accountant to do it. You do not. The way this works is you take your basic transaction of your idea, you put it on a cocktail napkin or an envelope, you show how you make money from that basic transaction, and then be prepared to answer this critical question: how many of these transactions can you do? The most important thing that I look for in evaluating a business is what we call Patrick's Law, that's revenue certainty. The two things that I believe any entrepreneur should be expert at, and any business owner should be expert at, is both revenue generation and technology. If they're not, they're leaving themselves very vulnerable. I also believe one of the reasons I like hiring college students is they're generally speaking more creative than people that have been sitting in the same job for the last 15 years. They show up every day, they go, a little hard to improve processes when people do that every day. And they're not incented to think. Their creativity is beaten out of them because of the hierarchy of organizations. So I go out and I get college students, say, take a look at this, figure out a better way of doing it. Just like this class, I have students constantly working on making these classes better for the customer, the student. 7 is listed in our business laws. This is really important. It's really important. This is something academia is struggling with. The marketplace is changing. Students prefer things differently than they did before. That's why you have an explosion of online courses now, whereas before they were very rare. And so academia is kind of struggling. The more historical organizations are having to make an adjustment. The thing that generates revenue is business development. The other departments, if there's no revenue, you have no need for accounting, you have no need for HR, you have no need for warehouse management. Let me think of some other departments that don't do anything. You don't have a need for counseling, because if you don't have any students, you don't need any counselors, right? You don't need a coach to coach the team because you don't have any students. You need students. Students are revenue. I'm also not a big believer in compressing people's individually creativity from compliance. Because I'm Italian, this comes kind of naturally to me. We have really wide boundaries on most issues and give people a lot of autonomy, but the boundaries we do have, we enforce. And so you want to have boundaries, and they need to be clear, and you need to enforce them, but you give people a lot of room to operate inside those boundaries. High turnover, employee turnover, is solely the responsibility of poor management. One of the values of being in the Long Beach area is the diversity of the students I come in touch with. Besides, it's fun for me because I get to learn about different cultures. We were chatting the other day about the different ways the Chinese communicate with themselves. Chinese students communicate on a different app than the Vietnamese and Koreans do. I didn't know that. I'm learning. Bill Gates said a long time ago, it's a great quote, hire the smartest people you can find, give them the resources they need, and get out of the way. I'm a big believer in that. The question is the customer always right? Well, in my view, the customer is always right if they're willing to pay to be right. And I teach this in the class, that it's okay to fire customers. Now, the way you fire a customer is you raise their rate. I deal with this every day. People call up, I want XYZ, I want I want this. And when I recognize and I sense that this is going to be a high demand customer, I price it accordingly, and I put this price up here. It's not a customer I really want. I just say, okay, it's going to cost you X. And that'll take care of all the aggravation you're going to have to put me through. And if they keep it up, and then I just keep raising the rate, then eventually they go away. The worst thing for a business is a low pay, high demand customer. Write that down. Take out a piece of paper, write it down. Low pay, high demand customer, bad for business. Our market-based worst process, you can see from the chart there, is an ongoing chart. It's not static. We're just constantly updating it. As the market changes, you keep doing it. Also, one of the key things, the terms we like to use, is you try to create utility for your customers, aka in my case, my students. Customer groups needs are in 3 categories: critical, basic, and nice to have. It's critical that you get a grade. It's basic that you get a good grade and you actually understand something. It's nice to have a good time in class. The most important thing in business, as in most other things, is you have to believe in yourself. And so you want to put yourself in an environment that nurtures your own belief in yourself. Jessica, is your confidence better or worse than when you came here?
A lot better.
Because
You've been believing in me more.
And how do I demonstrate I believe in you?
You give me rewards.
No, but how did you earn the rewards?
By doing hard work.
Yeah. You just take responsibility for stuff, you take care of it, I give you a reward. Right? You take ownership. That's the key. You take ownership for the work. It's your work. It reflects on you. Okay. And number 20 is a pretty straightforward. You can figure that one out on your own. Okay, we'll see you next time.